Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to A Ship Called Relation. I'm Jason Galka. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 relationship killers. Plus, later in the show, I will also have answers to your questions, including a woman who writes in who wants to know if she should have a threesome with her husband. Stick around and see what I have to say about that. It's happening right now on A Ship Called Relation. Hello, happy hump day, everybody. I'm Jason Galka, and welcome back to A Ship Called Relation. My very handsome co-host is joining me once again today. My future hubby, Mr. John Graziano. Hi, babes.
Hey.
Great to see you again.
You too.
People love when you do the show with me. They absolutely love it. Do you love doing it?
I do.
You look
I
less
do
nervous,
enjoy it.
but stop moving because you're going to make people dizzy.
Sorry.
Stay still. So, all right. Today, John and I are going to be talking about the top 5 relationship killers. So, if you're in a relationship with somebody that you really, really like, if you're feeling a little insecure, I'm going to tell you how to kind of bury those insecurity feelings because it's not something that you want to be feeling when you're with somebody because they can totally pick up on that and it kind of dampens the mood. What do you say? What do you think?
I agree.
All right. So let's get started with our top 5 relationship killers. You actually chose the first one, which is cheating.
Yes.
Number 1, cheating, for obvious reasons, but go ahead, explain.
Well, cheating, if if someone cheats on you, that means they don't love you. And there's no reason to be together with that person. If somebody really loves you enough, they'll devote 100% of themselves to you, and if they don't, kick them to the curb.
True. Now, when you say that people cheat on you because they don't love you, not that I disagree with that, I don't condone cheating, but I think in some cases, and you remember some of the stories that we've had over the past year of doing this show, that some women cheat on their men and men cheat on their women because they're missing something at home. They're missing that sexual connection, I guess you could say. Do you think that there are certain things that it's okay to cheat, or you don't condone it whatsoever?
Not at all. No.
Okay. So for people out there watching that have those issues that we've been talking about over the year, we get our sink or swim stories from people that they're cheating on their husband or they're cheating on their wife or girlfriend or boyfriend because they're missing something in the bedroom. What advice do you have?
Talk it out with the person. If you get nothing accomplished, you need to move on.
Okay.
Cheating is not the answer.
Okay. Excellent. Moving on to number 2, which is control and or dominating. Okay, that's a huge relationship killer, the control itself. What do you think?
Well, depends on how they control and dominate.
This is true. I can agree. Okay, so let's say, the man is being very controlling over the woman, or it could even be vice versa. There are some very strong women out there that tend to also control their men, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there has to be a fine line when it comes to control.
Well, I think most of the time guys in relationships, especially with you and I, we not like to be controlled, but like somebody to be like, the force.
Right.
But there's a difference between being controlling and the difference between being nasty and, forceful and in a negative way. And I think nobody deserves to be treated like that.
Do you think I'm controlling?
Sometimes, but in a good way. In a good way.
It's not that I'm controlling. I tend to be a little bit bossy. You have to train your man, too. I'm going to blog about that. You have to train your man, you have to train your Italian. Italians can be trained despite what they think. No, but okay. Yes, some ways, depending on what you're into, controlling and dominating can be a lot of fun in that type of situation. But when, you're out with your friends and the guy says, okay, it's time to go, looking at his watch, you don't want to be in a relationship where somebody's controlling your every move, where somebody's constantly looking at your phone to see who you're talking to or what's going on. That also kind of leads into trust issues, which we're going to get into. But number 3, we came up with dishonesty as our third relationship killer because that kind of coincides with cheating a little bit because you can cheat and not even let the person know that you're cheating and say you're someplace and then you're not.
I think that also falls upon abuse also, not physical abuse, but I think it's abuse where know people's feelings, and if you can cheat on somebody and lie to them, that's abusing who they are.
True.
And that's not fair to them either.
Right.
If you catch somebody that, you know, I don't believe in second chances in that way. Your first chance is when you start dating. I don't put up with that. And if you do end up cheating in the future, then there's just no being together. I'm a firm believer in 95% of the time that once a cheater, always a cheater. And that's my personal opinion, is what I've seen in the past. And that's what I firmly believe. So I don't believe in second chances when it comes to things like that.
And you've been cheated on in past relationships also.
I have. Only once did I deal with it, and I learned my lesson from that.
What happened in that situation?
Well, he was a very abusive person, physically, mentally, verbally. I dealt with it for over 3 years, but never again would that ever happen to me. And after our relationship ended, I never dealt with it again with anybody else. Anybody that showed a little bit of a sign of abuse or controlling, I dumped them within a heartbeat. Got rid of them right away. I'm not going to go through that again.
So why did you put up with it for 3 years then?
I think I was young, plus when you love somebody, you try to make it work. But then when you get older, you learn that you got to love yourself too. And if you love yourself, you won't let anybody else treat you like that.
Okay, now I know I'm asking difficult questions, but why, how could you love somebody that was already treating you that way?
Well, for the first few months that we dated, he was very nice, and he drank a lot. So, he was very textbook. When he was sober, he was the nicest guy in the world, and I would just fall for it again. I'm like, all right, he doesn't mean it. He's sorry, but then he would drink again, or he would get high, and then he'd become this monster, like a totally different person.
So that was more bad than good.
Yeah, more bad. Yeah, probably about 90% bad. The 10% was good. That 10% I tried to hold on to and try to help him out, try to get him help, but he didn't want to help himself. So
now we know of many women and even some men that are in abusive type relationships. I mean, you obviously got out of this. How did you do it? Because for so many out there that are in abusive relationships, it's not so easy for them.
Well, I got out of it because one of the last straws was he ended up burning his house down in a fight with his roommate.
Wow.
So I still stayed with him after that because I ended up breaking my ankle in the house fire trying to save his dog, which I saved the dog.
Thank God for that.
I did, yeah. Yeah. So stayed with him for a few months after that. We went to Fire Islands, and at that time I turned around and he was actually making out with another guy when I went to the bar to get him a drink.
Wow.
So that was the last straw. So right after that, I was done.
Now, because he was so abusive, was it hard for you to, did he let you walk away that easily?
And he didn't let me walk away easily at all. It was a fight. Police had to get involved a few times because he was, very controlling. But I'm a stronger person. So that's why at that time I was fed up with it. So I didn't care not that I didn't care about him, but I didn't care about being with him at that point. He was going down a destructive path, and he was going down that path alone. Nothing I can do to help him out anymore.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Good for you. Well, look at the wonderful situation you have now.
So.
And now you're on TV.
Yeah.
So, let's...
I'm sweating because I'm a little nervous.
But you've done this so many times already.
My third.
Your third time. Third time's the charm.
It is. That's
So, all right, but going back to the dishonesty part, I mean, there is a fine line also. Obviously, little white lies aren't going to hurt anybody. When I go to the store and I tell you I spent $200 and I really spent $800, you don't really need to know those things, and that's not going to harm our relationship. No. So little white lies are okay, but when you're taking it this far where you're cheating on your spouse or your significant other, that's not tolerated, and that, number 3, relationship killer. Moving on to number 4, which I thought this was interesting, and I want to talk about it a little bit because we actually have got several emails from people that have been asking this, and actually a woman had wrote in, which we're going to get to her question later, but the topic of a threesome in your relationship. Now, how do I want to begin with this? Because it's, you might be cringing at home a little bit, but, we're all adults here, let's talk. It's not something that I think is terrible for anybody. I think if you're safe and you're careful about it in selecting, that other partner that you're bringing in, I think it could be kind of healthy for your relationship. I mean, especially in the gay world, it's a little bit more common, I think. I think it's safe to say that. Do you agree?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, gay men, I guess, just have more fun, but also it's also common in the straight world. I mean, I know straight couples that have done it as well, and it's kind of help their marriage or help their sex life along It's not necessarily a terrible thing, but we have it listed as a relationship killer. Now, that's because it raises a lot of insecurities also. And when there's a lot of insecurity and there's a lot of wonder and a lot of distrust in your relationship, that tends to complicate things also. So I think if you're going to do, you're very quiet over there. Chime in any time.
No,
well, I'm just telling you what I think. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think both people have to be really comfortable with it.
need an understanding, and I
need
think
an
a lot of people
understanding.
they'll venture off and think they can play alone. I think that's what ends a relationship.
Also,
I think if you do it together, it's different because both people are there. But to take that upon yourself to venture off and play separately, that's disaster.
now when you say play separately, are you talking about like if they did bring in this other person, and now, okay, just to make it a clearer example, you have a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and we're bringing in another girl. If the boyfriend is doing Exhibit C without Exhibit B there, that's considered cheating.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just because you're using that person doesn't mean that it's okay to use them without your partner then.
Correct.
Okay. Well, stick around. We're going to take a quick break here. More on this subject, plus answers to your questions coming up. Stay tuned.
Hey Larry, every week I watch your show,
As you should.
and I know so much about sports now. Thank you.
You should be learning about sports, and everybody should be watching all our other shows here on the Daily Blue.
Why are you promoting the other shows? I thought you were the king of the Daily Blue.
That's true, but I'm all about everybody. It's not always all about me.
No,
all
it really
about
is.
the team.
Every day I wake up and it says, today is all about me, Corinne. Don't
I've
lie.
heard that.
Don't lie. Tune in every week to the Daily Blue and you'll see Sports Biz with LD, and you will get a lot of information, updates in sports, and a little bit about Sports Biz.
And that's me, Larry Davis, Sports Biz with LD.
Welcome back to A Ship Called Relation, everybody. Once again, I'm Jason Galka, and today we're talking about the top 5 relationship killers. Once again, joining me is my handsome co-host, my future hubby, John. All right, so before we took a break, we talked about the first 4 relationship killers, okay? Number 1 was cheating, number 2 was control, number 3 was dishonesty. Now we're up to number 4, which is a threesome we're talking about in relationship, if it's okay and if it's not okay. Now, before we took the break, I was talking about how I think it's okay to do it as long as both parties are comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
I agree.
So, and then we also were just talking about how if you have the 3 exhibits, as I like to say, if Exhibit A, which is the man, is having Exhibit C on the side without his Exhibit B, that's not okay.
How would you feel if it was you and I met somebody on the side at work, and I hooked up with them without letting you be there? Like, that would piss you off, right?
It would.
When would do the same with me? I think a lot of couples, when they're together, if there's a third person involved, and it's not for everybody, but when there's a third person involved, as long as both parties are there with the third person, it's more comfortable. You don't want your partner to be with somebody by themselves because you don't know what's going to be going on.
Sure.
If they're going to get feelings for that person, and I think it's like a balance.
Mm-hmm. And this happens not only in the gay world, it happens in the straight world as well. As I said, we have a woman that wrote in, and we'll read her story very shortly. But just to kind of give you my thoughts about it as a whole, because there's a lot of stipulation with it, and there's a lot to examine. Are you bringing in let's talk in the straight world right now. If you're a straight couple, are you bringing in another man, or are you bringing in another woman? And how's your man going to feel about another man doing you there? And then how is your woman going to feel about him doing another woman right there? So you also have to be comfortable with the person that you're bringing in and the situation it's going to create.
And if you have an issue with that, though, then don't do it to begin with. If you have trust issues, like if a lot of people that have trust issues in their relationship, if you bring in a third person, this is going to make it worse.
I think it's normal to feel like, oh, is he going to like her better than me, or is she going to feel better than me? I think that's normal to have because we of course want to be the best for you. You're with us because we don't see ourselves with anybody else but you, and you're supposed to look at us the same way. So that's normal insecurities to have, but that's something that you could easily talk out and get that all out and then come up with some sort of an agreement. And if you're really that uncomfortable, find another couple that are into the same thing and then you both can kind of wonder about those things, and why should I be the only one worrying? You know what I'm saying?
Misery likes company.
Exactly. All right. Number 5, last but not least, the insecurities. Now, this is different than the threesome insecurity. Insecurity is where you're constantly worried about how you look and annoying the person, like, how do I look? Do I look good to you? I don't feel like I look good, and not having confidence. To me, that's a huge turnoff in anybody. I think confidence is still the sexiest trait. I mean, you don't have to be the most attractive person in life. There's people better looking out there. I mean, everybody's beautiful in their own way. But when you're constantly dwelling on how you don't feel good about yourself, how you don't think you look good, that's a turnoff to me.
Talking about me?
Not at all, love. I think you are handsome as ever.
I'm a little insecure when it comes to like the way I look a lot.
You are.
Times, so.
You are. Why is that?
I'm very guilty. I used to be thinner when I was younger, so like me being a little stocky, sometimes bothers me, like in clothes fit tight, and
Yeah, but stocky's not a bad thing. Actually, stock, if you remember Hot Topics from a few weeks ago, stocky is like the new Calvin Klein underwear model kind of look.
Which is why I stopped dieting.
There's actually a card. There's one of those cards that people make out there on Facebook, trending someplace, where it's a stocky guy with a bunch of tattoos on his arms, and it says, something about to the extent that stocky's like the in thing, or get yourself a stocky tatted bear, or something to that extent. But it's true, though. It's very true that, this is kind of like the new look for people, and this is, more men are starting to look this way, and it's not a bad thing. But you still feel insecure about it.
It's not as much as I used to be. Now I'm, it is what it is, But I like to eat.
Well, you're Italian, and you cook amazing Italian food.
That I do.
I just eat it in smaller portions. That's how I
eat a lot more than you, so.
All right, there are our top 5 relationship killers. So if you're looking to kill the relationship, go with those top 5 things. But if you happen to really love the person that you're with, those are things that you want to avoid then. Let's get to our questions. We have a few of them. Here we go.
Okay. First one. Says, hi, I want to have a threesome. Me and my husband, I'm scared he would love having sex with another woman. How do I get over that fear? And would he love it too much? He would do it behind my back. What do I do?
Okay, well, that's insecurities that we were talking about. Perfectly normal to feel like that, but this is where you really have to have a conversation with your husband and say, if something you're both interested in doing, it's not a bad thing, but you can't let those insecurities get the best of you, sort of thing. And I don't think that a threesome is going to lead to a man cheating. I think if a man is a cheater, he's going to cheat no matter what.
Exactly.
He doesn't need a threesome to do it. So put that out of your mind. But certainly it's normal to feel that way. We were just talking about that. But you also have to feel good about yourself and that, I'm giving him the best no matter what. And that's how you kind of have to go into it. But this isn't something that you could think of at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and then at 7 o'clock you have somebody coming over. It's not going to work that way. You have to talk about it, and maybe in 2 weeks, maybe, let's say, maybe you'll both be comfortable.
But there's something that's in her head that he probably did to make her feel that he would like the other woman better.
Well, she doesn't say this, but I think it also matters who brought it up.
Yeah.
Why, if she brings it up, it doesn't seem too worrisome. I mean, of course the guy's not going to say no. What straight man out there is going to say no to 2 women? But if he's bringing it up, it's raising these insecurities, and from the sound of it, it sounds like he may have brought it up. And now she's thinking about it and thinking it might not be a bad idea, but these are some things that you both need to talk and work it out. You need to be comfortable with who you're bringing in. And again, if you're going to be that uncomfortable, there's other couples out there just like you. Bring in an entire couple and have fun that way, but always be safe. We want to stress the fact of being safe and having protected sex also.
Okay, the next one says, hi there. Just wondering what advice you would give to me in relation to my ex-boyfriend. I did things because he never seemed interested, but now that we finished, he takes the time out to text me, etc. Could you tell me why this is, and what should I do?
Okay, well, kind of simple. He's missing now what's gone.
Yeah,
you want what you can't have, exactly. So he had you, he was comfortable with the fact that he had you, but whatever he did to reel you in, he had stopped doing. So that's why you most likely broke up, but now that he doesn't have you, he's missing what was once.
Exactly.
So it's completely up to you if you want to go back to the relationship, and if so, then you need to talk about why you broke up in the first place, and what it was he did that that he landed your heart in the first place. That's what he needs to keep doing. So many men do that. You're all guilty of this, where
No.
where the flowers stop coming in, the hand holding kind of diminishes down a little bit, the nice long passionate kiss goodbye turns into a peck on the cheek. Men, you need to get it back up where you were. The flowers, the hand holding, the kissing. None of that should ever change.
The flowers are expensive now, so. No, I'm
Budget.
I'm just kidding. No.
All right, last but not least.
This one is written in the slang, so I'm going to decipher it. Why are they so superb at being naughty men? I'm uncertain of concerns of possible attraction towards naughty men that pout their way out of needed conversations, yet sincerely love. Do they rely solely on their looks to keep us while continuing some errors within and outside of relationships that lead into a relationship? So I don't even know what that means, because...
Okay. And she signed it cheers, right?
Cheers.
I think that's our little English friend. Okay.
There's no punctuations or nothing, just a run-on sentence, so I don't understand what she's talking about.
All right,
so.
well, let me see if I kind
Decipher
of
it.
understood some things. I'm getting that she's attracted to these naughty men that seem very much into themselves. And I know exactly what she's talking about. She's talking about, like, the model-type men that are very much into themselves. Who's not attracted to that?
Someone that's going to love themselves more than you, or love themselves that much, they're never going to love you that way.
No. So I think if that's the case, then you are perfectly capable of finding an equally handsome man who's going to love you and want to be with you as much as himself. Listen, it's one thing to have confidence, but when you're starting to get into that conceited fine line,
exactly.
That's an issue. So
Keep
trying, though, doll. Keep trying. Cheerio to my English friend, and thank you all for writing in. Babe, we got to go, but what a great show. Lots of good information today for people.
Have a lot of fun.
Good. Now, if you have a question you'd like to ask me here on A Ship Correlation, visit my website, jasongalka.com. You can read my blogs. I'll be talking more about today's topics in my blogs also. And always check back and see what you missed and rewatch your favorites. I'm Jason Galka. See you next time.
Good morning, I'm Corinne Caro, and I'm here with Dominique. She is the host of our show, Art and Fashion, and thank you so much for having a show each week.
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I love your shows. It brings in starving artists and people that have such creative ability. Thank you for doing it. What do you do when you look for a host?
I know a lot of creative people. I know people in all walks of art and fashion. So I just look for people who have done things that are different, who have found their own little path and are working on something really creative and really special.
I feel like you're creative in yourself. Tell us a little bit about your clothing store.
I have a vintage clothing store, Paper Doll Vintage Boutique. We specialize in clothes from the 20s through the 70s, 80s. And then we also have mid-century reproductions of like pinup style clothing of like the 40s and 50s. So it's also unique, one-of-a-kind clothing.
I love it. That's your creative. If you'd like to be on Dominique's show, please contact us at the Daily Blue, 631-761-9223.